Hello and welcome to today's video where we will be talking about catalog features in Alibre. Now, what is a catalog feature? A catalog feature is an extrude feature, boss or cut extrude, thin or solid, uh, or a whole feature that has been stored in its entirety and can be reused later on. You can also save a dimple feature in sheet metal as a catalog feature. Now, uh, if you don't know what a dimple feature is in sheet metal, it's anything that you would make with a press on a sheet metal, right? So, not something that, not a fold, not a bend, but an impression. You think louvers in a car's hood, right? So these are the things that can be stored as catalog features and then can be reused. Now, you can also store a complete sketch as a catalog feature. And in my opinion, that is where the true functionality of, of the tool comes in place, right? So that is what's really powerful about that tool. But without further ado, let's come in here and let's see a couple of examples that I have prepared, uh, and then I will guide you through saving a couple of catalog features so that you can see how this works. Okay, so let's get a sketch going here. Right now, I want a center rectangle. Let's get a base of 200 by 200, 5 millimeters is fine. Now you can find catalog features through the library menu. You can either insert one or save one, right? Um, these catalog features come with quite a few caveats, and I want to uh, explain some of them, okay? So let's insert one. For example, let us insert a cone. Let's choose plane to insert it, right? Okay, let's hit apply, and we have our cone. There you go. Now, if I go into the equation editor, you will see that the values from this cone have come in along with the catalog feature, and I can change them. For example, I can change the height to be 70, and I can change, let's change the diameter to be 50, and let's change the angle to be, I don't know, minus 15. Will that work? That, you see, that worked. Okay, so that's one thing. Along with the catalog features, all of its values come in and are available in the equation editor. Another thing is that you will see if you come in here, I have left this underdefined, right? So yellow, the way I've set up my colors, means magnitude defined, but the position is undefined. So this is a circle of a known diameter, but its location is undefined. So let's just say that I want it 14 millimeters from the edge here and 20 millimeters. No, that's not going to work. 30 millimeters from the edge on the side. And okay, and this is all standard stuff, right, in Libre. But here's another example. Let's bring in the exact same catalog feature. So you will see that it starts at the center of these face, but when I go over these two little points, I get handles. So if I grab that, I can move it around, right? And that is before I go into the sketch to define anything. So if I hit apply and close, let's go into this sketch now. Look what happened. What I actually moved was the origin, the very origin of the sketch that defines the feature. Okay, now the origin is not in the expected spot that I would get if I just started a sketch on that face, right? It's somewhere else. So that is something that you need to think about when you are creating um, catalog features, right? Uh, Moving it around will change the actual origin of the underlying sketch, right? I can still define its position, to the edges, but if I wanted it, to be at the center of this face, that's a bit more tricky now because I moved the origin, right? And there you go. And just to prove the point, if I start a normal sketch hitting S, I've made an entire video about the hotkeys I use. So if I start a normal sketch hitting S, you will see that Alibre puts the default origin at the center of this face. All right. So let's exit out of that sketch. So that is something that you need to think about when making these catalog features. Okay. Now, where are they useful? Well, they might be useful to someone who's accustomed to designing with primitives, right? Um, in fact, I use them in my first Two Told Toby's September leaderboard challenge, where I used the cylinder one to create a type of shaft, which I will show you what I did here, right? So let's insert a cylinder. Let's insert it on the XY plane, right? And then you can sequentially insert these features. So I select the plane, I select this front face, hit apply, select this front face, hit apply, and select this front face, hit apply. And now this looks like a shaft, right? But I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sections to it. Okay, so if I go into my equation editor, you will see that I have height of catalog feature 2. Let's sort this by the name of the owner feature, right? So what do I have here? Catalog feature 2. Okay, that's the it's giving me the entire thing. Oh well, so catalog feature 2 is the first part of that cylinder. Catalog feature 3 is the second part, right? Third and fourth and final part. So what I can do is I can change the height and the diameter of these things. Okay, so let's say that this has a height of 100 and a diameter, here are the diameters, and it's got a diameter of 20, right? And then I want a bedding seat, and my bedding seat is 12, no, that's not 20 millimeters and 13 millimeters as the bore of the bedding. I didn't look up standard bearing values before I did this. And then we need a stop for that bedding. So this is going to be 35, I'm guessing. And this doesn't need to be very long. It just needs to be 5 millimeters. And then we have an output part to that shaft, which can be either, again, well, it might be again 20 millimeters and have another 80 millimeters of length. And if I hit OK, look what I just made this shaft, right? I can now add, you know, key slots. I can add splines, gears, whatever, chamfers, fillets. So that's one good application for catalog features, right? Especially in creating shafts. But the problem with this application is that it's not something that you cannot do by adding irregular circles and extrusions. And in fact, when I did my second leaderboard challenge video, I did it with simple circles and extrusions, and I was slightly faster, right? However, Making a shaft this way, you have the added advantage that you just change the numbers in here and everything falls into place. Okay, so this might be a little bit more manageable, especially if you're making a print, sorry, designing from a print, right? So that's one application for it now. So let's open this this part, right, which I've made previously. And I want to show you a couple of things that you can do with catalog features that really speed up the process because there are no alternatives to them, at least for now, in Alibre, right? So let me go to library. I'm going to insert a catalog feature, right? By the way, another thing that you can do is select the face you want to insert it and then insert it. It'll just pick it up. Okay. And then I want to select this one that I've made earlier. It's called curved slot. Okay. That's good enough. I'll hit apply. Before I hit apply, you saw earlier that I'm getting two handles here, right? So this is a position, this is a rotation one. This checkbox, this option box, if you want to call it, this one controls basically the second one. So if I click here and then click on my, so y-axis goes this way. So if I click on my y-axis, you will see that it aligns the first and the second one of these nodes, right? It aligns it along the y-axis. Okay, so that's how alignment reference works. Let's hit apply and close. We don't want to do anymore. So what did I do there? Well, that's just a sketch. And in fact, it's a woefully underdefined one. You'll see this fly around, you know. And you can also see that the origin of this sketch was just thrown off by the alignment that I did. Okay. And to prove the point, if I delete it and bring it in again, it should curved slot. I want to put it on here, apply, okay. So you see now that the origin of the sketch, oh, it's still off. Okay. That is something that you really need to pay attention to, right? But in any case, this is concentric to something. Yeah, that's concentric to this reference line. So this is a curved slot. What I want to do is I want to put that in the center right there, right? And you'll see that I have deliberately allowed it to spin around, right? And then I want this midpoint, I added this midpoint so that I can have something to dimension off of, right? Then I want this midpoint to be vertical to the center of this circle, and now I can go about finishing up with the rest of these dimensions. So this is a curved slot. It goes around this reference line. Now the radius for that reference line is 100 millimeters. I can make it, 150. Or, in fact, I can just delete it. This is, so after, what I'm trying to show here is that after you bring this in, this is just a normal sketch, right? And so I want to make this point, yeah. So I need to use the 3 points or else I'm over defining it. So now my slot is in the middle, right, between these two circles. And I'm just going to increase this radius to 30. That looks about right. Deactivate and extrude cut through all. Okay, then I can just pattern it. Yeah, 4 of them is fine. Around this. Oh, okay. So it's It's too large. Let's go back. So this 75 degrees of angle is too much. Let's do it. Let's give it 60 and a diameter of 25. Regenerate to last. There you go. Now this could very well be a flywheel, right? And it would have taken me considerably more time to create that curved slot instead of just bringing it in and just dimensioning it, right? So another great feature for this would be to create a board with a keyway that you can then just drop in to anything that needs basically a borehole with a keyway. Now, I don't have that pre-made, but we can make it together here. And I can show you a couple of things as we go along. So, how would you make that? Well, you have a circle. This is going to be your bore. Right? Let's say that this is 60 millimeters. Then this is going to be your keyway. Now, the way you design these things is you need everything to be vertical and horizontal. And then if you say that these are horizontal, what you've done is you've automatically made this symmetric about the center of the circle. So that's what you would normally do. Then trim this, dimension everything, and you're good to go, right? But the problem here is that I'm making a catalog feature, right? So first of all, I might want this at an angle. So if I want this at an angle, these constraints are not going to work. So instead of these constraints, I need to make these perpendicular constraints, okay? Because these are going to work even at an angle. Okay, so that worked. But you see now we don't have that mirror because we lost that horizontal constraint. Well, let's get a line going here, and we'll get another going, and it's going to start at the center to the middle of this line and make these two perpendicular. Oh, they're already perpendicular, sorry. Okay, but we need to make this line perpendicular to one of the lines, right, for the opening of the keyway. Now, what have we done here? Oh, yeah. So this works, it's just too undefined and you need a bit of imagination to see it, right? The other thing is that this is not constrained to the center of this sketch. And as I said before, when you're bringing catalog features in, you're not really sure where that center or that origin of the sketch is going to sit. So you don't want that. So this is coincident to that center. And how do we break a coincident constraint in Alibre? We hold Control, click and drag that point. Okay, this is still there, click and drag, and we put it here. Okay, so now you can see that I can freely move this around, which is what I wanted. So let's now start dimensioning. This is a 60 millimeter keyway. So the width for a keyway like that is 18 millimeters. I've looked that up earlier, right? And by the way, you see that I didn't just put the horizontal dimension. I want the aligned dimension, right? So that's 18 millimeters. Again, here aligned dimension. For a 60 millimeter bore, the height of the keyway is around 4.5 millimeters, right? So that's what that looks like. Okay. And now you can see that this is the shape we want, right? It's just that it can be span around in space. So now you need to bring this shape to an orientation that you will potentially use, right? And you need to bring it to that origin point so that there's less work to do, when you will bring it in the future potentially. Okay, so how do I do that? I'll just make some additional constraints that I will then delete after the shape is in place. So I've put that vertical constraint there. I'm just going to give it a horizontal dimension here and a vertical dimension here, which I'm then immediately going to turn into zeros. Okay, so now this is fully defined. It's in the orientation that I want. So I'm just going to delete these additional constraints, right? And I'm just going to leave it like that, and I'm good to go. So I'll deactivate the sketch. Now, this is sketch 3, right? It's the hub that we just designed. I want to go into the equation editor, use the very, very nice to use find tool in the equation editor and say sketch 3, right? So these are the dimensions I used. And I want to give them meaningful names, right? Like this is the board. This is the keyway width. And this is the keyway height. Let's hit OK. And now I want to cut extrude that through all. Okay. Now, this through all option is something that will be editable, is something that you can change when you bring that catalog feature in. But these things almost always, so that's why I'm bringing it like that, right? So that's why I'm bringing that in like this already. So I'll just hit OK, right? So this is the shape we want. It's got every feature and every dimension that we want. It's just that the sketch, the location and the orientation of it is underdefined. Again, this is underdefined on purpose because I want them to be definable by me every time I add this as a catalog feature. Okay, so let's select this extrusion, go to library, and then go to save catalog, right? If I hadn't selected it, I could have just selected it from here, right? But I want extrusion 4 and I want to save it as a board with keyway. Okay, so I saved it. Let's do this now. Let's delete that. So let's use this tool that we just made immediately on the same part, right? So we insert the catalog. Which catalog? I want to insert this catalog feature now on this plane. Okay, and I'm going to hit apply. Then I'm going to go in here and say that I want this to be vertical, right? And I want, yeah, you see now the origin came in the correct spot, right? So I can just say that I want it to be on the origin. Is it in the correct spot? It's not. It's not. It's offset again. So Control Z, and I want to say that this circle is concentric to this circle. You'll see there's a slight shift there, but the way I made this catalog feature, I can work around that now, and this is because these origin points might come in place or might not, and just dragging them by hand, no way guarantees that they will be concentric or geometrically correct. So this way, by making it underdefined in the catalog feature, is a powerful tool because you can then bring them into position the way you want them parametrically, and they're good to go. So I'll just click OK. Now I've fully defined. I've got my keyway, and this was a lot quicker. So inserting this catalog feature, I'm sure you will agree, was a lot quicker than the time we took to make it. Right. So I'll just save this, and there you go. This is how catalog features can help. I also wanted to do another example because I think it's a good one. Let's put a hub on a gear. Okay, so how to create a gear in Alibre? Well, you launch the script editor, you go into examples and mechanical, and we have a gear generator. So you select that and you hit run. So I want 20 teeth, pitch diameter. So I want a pitch diameter of 40. So that gives me a module of 2. And I want it to be 8 millimeters thick. Yeah, I'll need to click OK. It works its magic. We've got the gear, and we close off the script editor. So now I want to add a bore and a keyway to this gear. I go into the library, insert catalog. I find this, click it in here. I hit apply, and I get an error, right? Because this would make a mess of everything. However, the catalog feature has been inserted, which means if I go into my equation editor by hitting Control E, right? I've got my bore. Remember that we created that name, bore, keyway height, keyway width. So now I want a 12 millimeter bore. And the 12 millimeter bore takes a 4 millimeter key, I think. And I put that 1.9, so give the key, these are small keys, give a bit more bite onto the shaft. So instead of 2, I just give it 1.9. Look, click OK. It's in the wrong spot. So edit. Again, you see, this point came in, and this is completely arbitrary. So if I had fully constrained that, right, I wouldn't be able to place my bore in the correct spot. Whereas now I can hit O, click on this circle, click on the root diameter circle, and OK, I've got my gear. There you go. So, and you can definitely imagine that if I wasn't explaining every step, this would have been a lot faster. Okay, so that's how you do that. Now let's go ahead and make another catalog feature that is just a sketch. Okay, so I want to start with a line on the XY plane, right? Yeah, I'll just make a line here. I will make it a reference line. And what I'm going to do is make a slot, a straight slot this time, not a curved one. Okay. So I'm making these 2 center arcs. I will be connecting them with lines, making everything tangent as it's supposed to be. Okay. Okay. Let's give this a dimension, and then I can make these equal. So look, now what I have here is a straight slot. Okay. I also need a radius here, which can also be a diameter if I want to, right? So if I want a radius, I just click on here, click somewhere, give it a value. Okay. If I wanted the diameter, I would click on this arc, hold shift, and as soon as I move my mouse, it'll give me a diameter. Let's say that I want a diameter now of 20 millimeters. And this slot is fully defined, right? And the only thing undefined here is the location. However, there's another issue here. I don't want this to always be vertical. I want this to be definable, both as position as well as orientation, right? Parametrically, mind you, not those two little handles that come in with the catalog feature. In my mind, it's a best practice never to touch these things. Okay, so I will add a midpoint here. I will add back this horizontal constraint. This is a sacrificial constraint. I will be deleting that later. I will say, yep, I don't care what that dimension is, and I don't care what that is, because all I want to do is make them 0. I will delete that. I will delete that. I will delete that horizontal constraint. And now I will, I'm fine. This is all I want to do. So now I will just go into my library, save catalog, sketch 1, right? Because I had it selected, save as, and I will call this the straight slot, right? I have my curved slot, and this is going to be my straight slot. Okay, so let's go now. Well, we don't need this part anymore. Let's go now and use that. Okay, so let's say we have, I don't know, let's say that we've got, what could we use it for? Let's say we have a top mount, right? For a shock absorber, and we want the okay, so I'm creating this scenario now in my head, right? That's too large. That's too small. Let's say that we have a McPherson strut, okay, and we want to have a an adjustable camber angle on our McPherson strut, and this is the top mount. Okay, so let's. Okay, this is a top mount. You need some. Nah, that's too much. Okay, yep, that's cool, but we are going to ask for an exorbitant amount of money for something that is really a very simple part. So we need to make it beautiful, right? So let's make it red. And what else? We're also going to give it a couple of generous chamfers there, right? Okay, and then we're going to fillet those chamfers, because that's something that's really easy to do on a lathe, but anybody paying for that will like looking at it. So I'm just giving you an insight on how motorsport, and tuning car parts are made. Now, we want a couple of slots here up and down so that we can move this left and right. Because it's a McPherson strut, the top of the strut that contains the shock absorber actually controls the camber angle. Okay, so instead of going through the trouble of actually designing these two slots with center arcs and lines and other lines and all of that we went through, I'm just going to pre-select that, insert catalog feature, straight slot. There you go. You have one, apply, other one, yeah, apply. Okay. So, well, no, that's not the correct way to do it. Let's just stay with the one. Okay, so let's say that I don't really care about this value, right? I want the overall length, so I'll just dimension from one to the other. And this is very thorough. So I just want from the outside of one arc to the outside of the other one. right? And this is dimension type 0. I click OK, right? That's 80. No, I don't want that to be 80. I want that to be 52 for some reason, right? And I will be using M8 screws. So the clearance for an M8, the loose clearance, let's do the tight clearance. I think it's in 8.5. I think the loose clearance is 9, but anyway, okay. So I also want this horizontal. I also want the midpoint be right above the center, and I want this distance to be 25. No, I want that to be 27.5. And I will extrude cut through all, and I will do a circular pattern, two of them, around 2 of them, not 24. Come on. Okay. And this could very well be a top mount for for a McPherson strut that has an adjustable camber or caster or whatever you want to adjust with this. So you see that we put in these slots with minimal effort, right? And we even deleted one of the predefined dimensions and put in another one, and it still works. So catalog features are great time savers, right? And they are great for any application that might include any 2D feature, right? Be that the entire feature with the solid or just a sketch. As a reminder, you can do catalog features for extrudes, boss, cut, thin, or whatever, holes, and dimples in sheet metal. You can also do a sheet metal cut as a catalog feature, but that could very well be a extrude cut as well. So comment down below with what you're using catalog features for, what you made with what you learned from this video. That's the greatest reward for me. And hit subscribe if you want more videos like this. Hit like if you liked it. Hit dislike if you didn't like it, because I still want to know if you didn't like it. And I hope I see you in the next one.